Hi, shall we begin this interview?
Yeah, hi, we can start.
Great. Hi, Sandeep. I'm Mark. I'll be conducting your technical interview today. I'll be asking a mix of behavioral, situational, and technical questions to get a good understanding of your skills and experience. Let's start with a few general questions to warm up. Can you tell me a bit about yourself and why you're interested in this position?
Yes, my name is Sandeep, and I'm a full stack developer having more than 3 years of experience. And over the time, I have worked with like multiple companies and multiple clients. And I have worked on a variety of projects from building a e-commerce platform to building messaging apps and management apps. So right now, I'm just exploring new opportunities.
Great. Thank you for that introduction, Sandeep. My name is Mark, and I'm here to conduct your technical interview for the full stack developer position. Here's how this interview will go. One, we'll start with a few general or icebreaker questions to get you comfortable. Two, then we'll move on to technical questions covering various aspects of full stack development. Three, I'll also ask some situational and behavioral questions to understand how you handle different scenarios. Four, finally, I'll give you the opportunity to ask any questions you might have. Let's get started. Can you tell me about a recent project you worked on that you're particularly proud of? What was your role and what technologies did you cruise?
Yes, like recently I was working on development of a business management platform where we have to develop different modules like team management, app, project management, customer management, and different types of modules we have developed. And we have to make sure all are intact and integrated with each other. And we like implemented role-based actions, and we build so many AI tools and AI agent features there, which we can use to automate all those management apps. So yeah, that was my recent project I was working on, and I was working as a tech lead in that project, full stack tech lead, and yeah, I was just making sure all the server architecture is correct, all code related decisions. So I was taking that.
Thank you for sharing that, Sandy. It sounds like you've had some interesting experience. Let's dive into the technical questions. Can you tell me about your experience with React and Next.js? How have you utilized these technologies in your past projects?
Yeah, I have like 3 years experience in React and Next. Like the last project which I mentioned, that was developed in Next.js, and we were using like client-side rendering, server-side rendering, and yeah, all the latest feature of Next.js. We were using all of them. So yeah, I have really good experience in Next.
That sounds interesting. Could you tell me more about one of the recent messaging or management apps you built? What technologies did you cruise, and what were some of the challenges you faced?
Yeah, like we were building all those management apps using Next.js only. So there we have to make sure all APIs are being called in the right way. We were fetching some data at the server side. We were fetching some data at the client side. We were making sure all states are proper. We were managing like client side state. We added some store also uh, to maintain the state properly. And yeah, we were maintaining all the API states using React query. Yeah, different packages.
That's interesting. Can you tell me more about how you manage client-side state and what store you use? I'd like to encounter any challenges while implementing it.
No, we didn't encounter any major challenges there. We were using just in store to maintain the states locally, and that's like persistent state. And for maintaining the component states, we were using use state hooks provided by React. And yeah, we were using React query to call all the client-side APIs, which allow us to maintain the APIs and do the caching of API using the key names.
That sounds interesting. Could you explain how you handled server-side rendering (SSR) and static site generation (SSG) in your project with Next.js? What challenges did you face, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, all the components which is like static and like blogs and other areas, we were loading all of that at server side. And yeah, like we were trying to authenticate
That
user
sounds
roles.
good. It can be challenging to decide when to use server-side rendering. Let's shift gears to Node.js. Can you tell me about a time when you developed a backend service using Node.js and Express or Nest.js? What were the
Yeah,
main functionalities and challenges faced?
yeah, the project which I'm mentioning in the backend, we were using Nest.js. So we have like build multiple modules there for project, for tasks, for team, for employees, for users, for file management. So we built so many modules there. We implemented like authentication. There we created a common decorator using JWT strategy, using passport module of Nest.js, and we created guard also to protect the APIs.
It's impressive that you've managed multiple modules and handled the complexity with Nest.js. Let's switch gears a bit and talk about databases. Can you describe your experience with MongoDB? Specifically, how have you leveraged features like indexing or aggregation pipelines in your projects?
Yeah, like I have multiple years of experience with MongoDB, and we in the recent project we were using MongoDB only as a database. So we were using aggregation pipelines where we have to connect the data from multiple tables. Like when we are fetching task data, so we have to fetch the assigned user data also, which is stored in the user table. So we were using aggregations pipelines there, and yeah, basically we have worked on all the methods of aggregation pipeline from project, from group by, for match, from short, all of them. And for indexing all the repeated fields which we were using, we make all of them an index in the right way. Wherever we are doing any search, we build a text type index, and wherever we are doing any kind of sorting and some basic fields, we make them like ascending, descending order fields, created the index.
It sounds like you took some thoughtful strategies for authentication and data management. Let's go a bit deeper. How did you handle performance optimization in your recent projects, especially with the complexity you mentioned around search and indexing?
Yeah, like over the time when we were developing multiple modules, we see some performance drops. So what we did, like we try to minimize the aggregations pipelines to reduce the time. We focused on creating right index, so we will be reading less data in MongoDB, and we can decrease the read and write speed in the MongoDB. Then we try using Redis also to cache the data, which is like frequently used data. So we add some caching mechanism also at the backend level. So we don't always have to return the data from the database. We can return from cache also. Suppose a user is authenticated recently and he refresh the page in the browser. So we have to re-authenticate using his JWT. So instead of checking the user details again in the database, we can put the details in the cache and we can revalidate those details from cache itself. So these types of techniques help us to improve the performance.
That's a smart approach to handling performance. Now let's discuss your experience with Git and CI/CD pipelines. How have you managed version control and continuous integration deployment in your projects?
Yeah, like for GitHub, like we created multiple environments, development environment, staging environment, and production environment. And for each task, we were creating a different branch. And once it's completed, we are doing the code review in PR. And after merging the PR, we are merging in development, then staging, then production. And we are maintaining the version for each new PR. We're increasing the version. Uh, and after making sure that new build is working fine locally and in the stage environment, we set up a CI/CD pipeline for production, where we set up the GitHub action, which were automatically building the Docker image, and it was pushing that Docker image into container registry, and we were making it live from there automatically. So yeah, I have extensive experience in CI/CD pipelines as well.
Great to hear about your experience with CI/CD pipelines using GitHub Actions.
Yeah.
That's a comprehensive explanation, Sandy. It sounds like you've handled a variety of technical challenges effectively. Let's move on to a situational question. Imagine you are working on a critical feature and you discover a significant bug a few hours before the deadline. How would you approach this situation?
First, I will try to understand more about the bug. What is the reason behind the bug? And I will try to identify the reason, and I will try to figure out the solution. And if that solution is like something very small and fixable, so then my approach will be fixing that immediately and testing that properly and making sure everything is working fine. But if that solution is unclear and if I don't know the exact reason of that bug, I will try to do more research, and I will try to convince all the stakeholders there is some exception bugs. So will try to convince them to increase the deadline a bit, so I can identify the issue and fix that properly with proper testing.
Sounds like a solid approach. Before we wrap up, do you have any questions or something you would like to know more about the position or the team?
Yeah, can you explain me more about the team and position?
Share a bit about the team you'll be working with. Cross-functional team with front-end, back-end developers, designers, and QA engineers. Agile methodologies are followed with daily stand-ups, sprint planning, and retrospective.
Okay.
And should we continue with another technical question?
No, that's it. Thanks. Thanks for the interview.